Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. You'll have seen the title to this video, but it has alternative titles. It could be one genus at a time. We've done that sort of thing before. It could nearly be one shelf at a time, except for it's two. But I am filming them one shelf at a time. So what we're going to do is have a look at my Coelogynes as a start of year update. Now the last time we had a look at these was the beginning of December. It's now the end of January, or a day or two. So it's been 8 weeks plus since we last looked at them. So this is an update, and it's also a start of year benchmark for the Coelogyne genus. I have quite a few of these, although some are duplicates. They will be to go to others at some point, once I'm sure they've rooted in nicely. Smaller divisions basically. So I've got two shelves, but I haven't got room on my workbench for all of them. So I'm going to do them one shelf at a time. I'm going to get them down, and then as I've talked about them, put them back. So it frees up the space, and then I'll shut down and we'll come back and do the other shelf the same way. It's the best way to do it, you know, because they'll go back on the shelf in the order they need to be. So I'll get the first lot down, swing the camera around, and we'll make a start. Okay, so this is the first shelf full. We start off with this one. I'll get them all out of those that are in clear pots. I'll get them out so that we can see roots. Now this one is Coelogyne moriana, so species, and it's not growing properly. It's not behaving itself. It's partly my fault, but all of the new growths have come out high. So here, that one's not too bad. Again here, and this one is very bad, because what basically happens if they do that is the roots come out and they're too far away from the media. So they don't get down in the media. So this one, I'm going to have to repot it basically, take the sheaths off so that the roots can get easy access and go straight down. Otherwise you get this sort of thing. You see where the sheath is, the roots have pushed upwards. So even when I take this sheath off now, those roots won't go down in the media because they're pointing upwards. So I need to catch the rest of them. So although I don't normally do work this time of year, that needs work done on it. It needs coming out of the pot. It was potted. Why I potted that like that, I don't know. You can see I've got a massive amount of space around here. I think it was because I just didn't know where the new growths would come. But I mean, we do have a lot of new growths. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one back there. There's 6 new growths on this, and I'd like them to get their roots in the pot, in the media, and produce nice big bulbs. The oldest bulbs on this are a bit shriveled around the back here. They're leafless, so they're not doing much for the plant anyway. We have got some roots. It's not a bad root system. It'll be twice as good if I can get the roots on these new growths down in the media before it's too late. So we've got work to do on that one. I will make a note, otherwise that's the sort of thing that will get forgotten. Easily done. Not that I'm that busy this time of year with work, I must admit, but right, then we've got another big one. This is Moriana magnifica, so it's a named version. Came from Burnham's. It's quite a mature plant. Some of the older bulbs are shriveled. New growths are pushing on nicely. Yeah, and we've got several of them. One of them did have a flower spike, but it aborted. This particular variety is notoriously awkward at blooming. And you get quite a few people who've got magnificent plants, they don't get any blooms on them. Well, out of those 3 new growths that I've got, one produced a flower spike, but it aborted, so it didn't get as far as the bud stage. This has not been repotted since I got it from Burnham's. It's still in its original pot and its original media. I'm happy with that. The new growths are at the base. So I'm just having a look at all of them. There's one back there in the middle of the plant. That's at the base. This one's at the base where my thumb is. This one's a bit high. But nonetheless, there are two good new growths that will get their roots down in the media. It only needs a couple. You can almost double your root size. So anyway, that one is the Moriana is classed as one of the large whites, and the Magnifica version of that is a larger bloom with more depth of colour in the lip. So that's that one. It's a good sized plant. The more recent bulbs are ridged but not shriveled, and a couple of the older ones are a bit shriveled. But hopefully my new bulbs will all do fine. So that's that one. Takes up a lot of space. It's going to get bigger than that as well. These do grow pretty large. Right. Next we've got one that isn't doing very well. The leaves looked like they had some sort of infection, so they all got chopped off. They all got the leaf chop, all of them, all three of the leaves. And the roots on it look old and tired. There's no fresh roots there, but we do have just starting a new growth, and that is at the base of the bulb. So whatever roots that shoot produces should go straight down in the media and help improve the root system. And hopefully I'll get a nice full-size bulb on it. That is it's a primary cross. It's Usitana crossed with salmony colour. Colour spelt wrong. Right, so that's that one. That one's not doing that well. And then these are divisions. These are to go. They are both Moriana Magnifica, so they are a nice plant to have. I put them in black pots. They haven't long been repotted. This one's got a nice new growth. All the bulbs have got leaves on. This one's only got one leaf, but it is a giant. And nice new growth, should fill that pot with roots. So it's doing okay. That's right, while I've got these in my hand, I just want to get these sheaths off while I see these growths coming to the point where they're going to produce their roots. These sheaths get quite dry and woody, and they can force the whole roots of a new growth upwards, and then you've got to wait for another one before you get another chance, or you end up having to bury the the bulb, the growth, which then makes it possibly prone to rotting. Right, that's gotcha. Right, so any roots that come off of the base of this now should go down into the media. So that's that little division. For somebody wanting to start with Coelogynes, that will make a good starter plant. That's that one. And then the last one on this shelf, again it's the Moriana Magnifica. This is a slightly larger division. Two new growths this time, pushing on, and four old bulbs, one a bit buried, all with leaves on. It has bloomed. See, this is where some of the unscrupulous sellers get away with murder, because this has got a flower spike on it, so they would say flowering size. Now it came off of a flowering size plant and it had bloomed. This is a division. It doesn't mean to say it's flowering size. Now it may well bloom on these new growths, but I doubt it, because the flower spike comes straight out the middle of the leaves, and if they were going to bloom, they'd have done it by now, so they're not going to bloom. Nonetheless, the bases are both on the media. That will extend the root systems. So that's that shelf. So I'll get the other shelf down now, and we'll have a look at the rest of the Coelogynes. Right, there's some quite large plants on here. And this one has got a lot of roots, but they're old tired roots. The new growths have come out high, yeah, and they've had their sheaths peeled down, but this needs coming out of the pot because again it's got lots of space around here not being used, and these new bulbs are a bit high, so this needs repotting. It needs sorting out so that the new growths put their roots down in the media like this one has. You can see the roots going down in, yeah. No shriveled bulbs on this one, they're all nice and plump, even the old ones. So it's happy with the root system it's got. It's not shrivelling, but these are old tired roots. Don't see any signs of new ones, but then the new ones will come from these new growths. Like this new growth here has already pushed its roots down in there, and that's the white ones you can see here. Yeah, but this one is Lawrenceana. This is one that blooms a bit funny. The blooms come out from between the leaves, the spike does, and it forms a bud, and then it sits there looking at you for a long time without doing anything. Right, so that's that one. Now the other one I didn't bring down because there wasn't room for the two big ones at the same time, so I'll bring this one down now. Now this is another one that hasn't been repotted since I got it, and this is in memorandum of William Michelitz, and it's the variety Burnham, and it's an awarded plant, or was, which is how it's got that name. This has got lots of new growths coming. Yeah, they're all at the base, and they will all get their roots down into the media, except that one. We'll have that sheath off while we're here. This has got a new growth here. That's at the base. That one's high. That one should be okay. That one should be okay, and that one, and that one. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new growths on this plant. I'm not going to repot it, even though it hasn't been potted since I got it from Burnham's. I'm going to let those new growths form a really strong root system before I disturb it. And then when those roots are nice and active and I can see them pushing down into the media, so before they mature, that's when we'll repot it. So yeah, that I believe is a cross between, don't quote me, I'm not guessing, it's just a distant memory. I think it's a cross between Moriana and Cristata. Not quite sure. Sort of 85–90% certain. So 2 good sized blooms going into that. Talking of good sized blooms, this is my Cristata. Now it's a relatively young division, but these big fat bulbs are the ones that I've grown. The smaller ones here, that's what I bought. I think I bought those 4 bulbs as a small division, and this came from Isle of Purbeck Orchids from Simon Pugh Jones. I've grown 3 nice new bulbs. What I haven't done is grown roots on those rhizomes and those bulbs. This one's hanging over the plant, over the side of the pot. The one before it isn't, but it didn't produce any roots. This one hasn't produced any roots, and it's a raised rhizome. So all the roots that are in the pot are coming off the oldest part of the plant, and there's not a lot of them. So this is not a well-rooted plant, but nonetheless we have got 2 spikes and they're pushing now. You can see the buds are starting to extend. I don't think we're going to have a lot. That one looks like it'll be 4, and the final bud will just be a spike. It won't bloom, and this one could be 4 as well. But we'll have blooms on that in the not too distant future. They are starting to extend now. Once they start to move like that, they move quite rapidly. but they sit there as a sort of almost a dormant spike from sort of late autumn, and they sit there through a lot of the winter before they start to move. Now, what triggers that movement, I'm not sure. If it's the extending day length element, then they're very sensitive, because you know the day lengths haven't increased a huge amount yet, but if it's enough to do that, that's good stuff. Right, so I was just just looking at where the pots go and what's next, making sure I get these back in the right place. That's that one, and look at this one next. Yeah, because that one will go in that gap. This is another one. This is a relatively recent acquisition, this one. This came from Arthur's collection at Burnham's, not actually one of Burnham's plants, but Sarah said it was okay for him to sell them. It hasn't been repotted. Arthur said it hasn't been in the pot too long. It's probably about 18 months, so there's nothing wrong with the bark. And this is in memory of Louis Forget, or Forget, however you want to say that. Depends whether it was French or not. A reasonable sized division, a sunken bulb at the back, 3 good sized bulbs, and in my case 2 nice new growths. They have bloomed, so they're now going to mature. Hopefully same size bulbs as these, and then we'll produce some new growth sometime in the future. I've got no intention to repot that. Those new growths can produce roots where they are. They've come out at the base, the roots will go straight down in the pot, and the bark's not old enough to worry about, so they can spend another year or so in that pot. Right, so that's that one. Then we got this one. Now this is the one that again, it's got an extended rhizome that hasn't rooted. So we got roots not on this bulb because it's hanging over the side of the pot, but that was to get it in. Roots on this bulb right back here, so those roots are at the back of the pot. This big fat bulb here doesn't have any roots, and the extending, let me come around this way, you won't see what I'm on about. So this big bulb here hasn't got any roots, and the extension between this bulb and this bulb, that piece of rhizome, didn't have any roots when it was potted. I'm not digging it up to see if I've got any. And then we've got our new growth pushing on. Since this was potted, that has extended probably 1.5 inches because it was right on the edge of the pot. Hopefully it's going to stick out some roots. But this was potted in, although it looks like it's got moss in the pot, it hasn't. The moss is there to stop the bark falling out. The plant itself is in bark. And that one is Hollow Chiller, or Hollow Killer, depends on what you want to do with the CH. I know what I'd do with it. And we do have a nice spike on this one that is very, very slow to progress, but it does look like it is starting to move now. Unbloomed for me. I don't think I've had any blooms on this yet, but we've got some to come. So that's that one. All I'm hoping for that is that that new shoot pushes out some roots, because eventually I'm going to have to take the back end of the plant off to, you know, to keep it going. If it's going to grow in that linear fashion that some of these do, unless you can get the flipping thing to branch and actually produce 2 new growths, then you're stuck with it heading for the edge of the pot always. It will always just do that. They're the type that tend to grow along a branch until they run out of branch. Don't know what happens then. In the wild I'm on about. Right, so this one, this is Tomentosa, and this bloomed 3 times for me when I got it home, and it has the very, very long pendulous blooms. They're a bit of a nuisance because it's got to go right on the edge of the shelf, you know, so that it can come over the edge of the pot and hang right down. But finally, after keeping producing spikes, It's actually producing a new growth. This one that I thought was a spike has turned into a bulb. Now what we've got is an old part of the plant with leafless bulbs, and then we've got our leaved bulbs, 4 of them, one of which is relatively new, and a new growth coming. And that new growth is close enough for to the base for me not to worry about it. The roots will go into the media, so that will be okay. But all of the leaved bulbs, the section of the plant I would like to keep and get the new roots on, is in that tiny part of the pot. And all the rest of the pot has got leafless bulbs, which will eventually come off the plant. Now I will, you hear me say this quite often, and I'll take the back end of the plant off. You do need to take a bit of care when you start hacking the back of the plant off. You have to consider the overall strength of the plant in question, not in general, the actual plant. Because if you take over half of the plant off the back because it hasn't got any leaves, you've removed a lot of storage. Those older bulbs, providing they're not all shriveled up, they hold nutrients and moisture, and they come in handy when you do a repot and disturb the roots and the plant decides to sulk a bit. It's not growing any new roots yet, the older roots aren't that happy. It's got all of those nutrients and hydration in the old part of the plant that it will use. You cut it off, you remove the option. So you've got to go steady how much of the back end of a Coelogyne you take off. They are prone to sulking when you repot them. Sometimes you get away with it and they don't take any notice, but other times no. Right, so this one's got some nice roots, and we've got 2 nice spikes on here. This is granulosa, which is a primary hybrid that is found in the wild. But I haven't marked on the tag what species go into it. But we've got buds extending. So you've seen a couple of spikes. You've seen one closed spike that was on the last one in the basket, where the sections hadn't opened yet. You've seen the cristata where the sections are starting to open and the buds are just showing. And this is what happens for this style of spike when the buds force the sheaths out of the way, and then they show as proper buds. So that's how they grow. So no new growths on here. The new growths have matured and produced spikes. Now those 2 new growths are mine. They're what I've grown. So I'm pleased with that because the bulbs are equal to, if not slightly larger than previous bulbs, which is what you're after. And they've both bloomed. So pleased with that one. It has bloomed for me before, but it's doing it again. We like that. And then last but not least is this one that's actually in flower. This is my only one in flower at the moment. This has been in bloom an incredibly long time, and that's because the spikes are sequential. And one of the spikes, the oldest of the spikes here, I believe has finished, because I'm not sure that bud is going to extend. I think it's aborted. But it's had 1, 2, 3 blooms on it. So it's 3 successive blooms on that spike. I think the final one's not going to make it. And then the other one here is open, and that is either I think that's the 3rd bloom on that spike as well. Those 2 spikes were running alongside each other. This bud may extend, I don't know. Sometimes they look like they're not going to extend and they're just going to abort, and then they start to swell. But you have to wait and see. These blooms are gorgeous. But in the meantime, we have actually grown a new spike. So this is now a 3rd spike on what is not a large plant, quite honestly. And this is its first bloom just opening. But it's a spike that I don't believe is going to extend, because you can see the dead end to the spike. So it's a small one, and quite honestly the plant could become a little exhausted because it's quite a small division. The old part of the plant, the bulbs are quite small, so there's not a lot of storage going on there because the bulbs are so small. And then the two nice large bulbs in the middle of the plant haven't got any leaves on. But we do have 3 new growths effectively. Now, while the 2 spikes are still in bloom, they won't extend their leaves that much. But this one, I will take that spike off now, and then the leaf will extend. Only get 1 leaf on these bulbs. I don't know whether that's a trait specific to this one, or whether in future years it might produce the 2. Most Coelogyne bulbs have 2 leaves. This one may only have 1. And this is Speciosa, and again it's the variety Burnham, so one of their a slightly better version than the original species. That's what they were saying. It was good enough, to get some sort of registration and name against it. But we got 3 bulbs, 2 still in bloom. Those 3 will push on, hopefully get nice big leaves, and put a lot more energy into the plant by growing some nice roots. The new shoots are all at the base of the pot, so most of their roots will go down into the media, which is good. It hasn't got a bad root system anyway, so it'll just add to it. And there's room in this pot just for those 3 growths to mature. The next lot of new growths will need room, so it will need repotting. So yeah, those blooms are very attractive. They warrant, closer inspection. So that goes on a shelf where I can see them from my seat. Right, so those are my Coelogynes. It is quite a large collection for me. It's got quite a few members in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 different types, one of which there's 3, because there's 2 younger divisions that will go off to somebody else at some point. Don't know when, I haven't made my mind up. So those are they. Now what's coming up? Tomorrow, all being well, I will do a Project Orchid update. It's due. It's due at the end of this month, which we are now at. So I will do a Project Orchid update for tomorrow. Saturday I've got an Orchid Society meeting, so there probably just won't be a video for Saturday. And then Sunday we will be back to the normal Sunday chat. It's a weekend where I've got nothing going on, so we'll have a normal Sunday chat. And that's about as far ahead as I can think with the videos. You're lucky I could think that far ahead sometimes. Yeah, so that's an insight into what's coming soon. And thanks for all your comments and everything. They are appreciated. They all get looked at, they all get read, and they all get some sort of response. So they're not wasted. I know on some of the bigger channels, you get like, I don't know, 50 odd comments and 3 replies if you're lucky. I would imagine with the bigger channels, perhaps they just haven't got time. I have, and while I can, I will. So I will always read and put answers on the comments. If you're not subscribed, it would be nice if you did so. It doesn't cost anything, despite the expression. And don't forget your hypes. I don't want to harp on about them, but you get 3 a week renewed on Sunday, so when you get up Monday morning you've got 3 nice shiny new ones. What I don't know is, actually I do, they don't roll over as far as I know, so you get 3 a week. If you don't use them, they get wasted. So use them. I'm not saying you should use them on my videos, but you should use them. You will have your channels that you watch. They might not even be orchids, but whatever those that qualify to be able to be hyped, and you've got the required equipment, which is a mobile phone with the latest YouTube app on it, then you should be able to use your hypes up. 3 a week. And they add points in which help YouTube allocate the video its place in that big list of videos down the side. or wherever it is on the phone. There isn't really room down the side on the phone, is there? Yeah. I mean, I got a screen this flipping big that I watched YouTube on, and the video fits there, and all the others are down the side, and the comments hang underneath. I get all the lot in one go, which is how I like to watch YouTube. So anyway, thanks for dropping by. Hope you enjoyed that. Nice start of year update for the collection. I may get more in the collection, but I'd have to see something in flower that I like. Yeah, because I've got a lot already, you know, and quite a lot of them are quite similar. So I don't want to be getting any more as similar as the ones I've got. I like to get a bit more variety, different colours or whatever. So we'll see how we go. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.